To post to the class blog, it's actually pretty simple, but I'm going to walk you through adding a post. So from the course website, prozentraining.com/SSM, you'll want to scroll all the way to the bottom and choose Login. The login looks like this, SSM space student, and you need to enter it just like that with a space. The capitals actually don't matter, but the space does. And the password is spring11. And then click login. This will take you to the dashboard for the website. You have somewhat limited access to the site. You do have access to most things if you want to look around. You can add and edit posts. You can look at the site stats if you're interested in how many people have viewed your post. There's a few things you can do. But for the most part, you will log in really just once and you'll add a new post. So this is WordPress, so it may be very familiar to a lot of you. You want to add a new post here at the top. I actually have some copy saved from your assignment. So I'm going to add that copy. So do a copy. If you're pasting from Word, you really need to use this button here. It's a little clipboard with a Word file. Paste from Word and then paste in your content. Word hangs on to code. In fact, you can see all the code right there that I'm going to delete. But Word hangs on to that code, and so it can make your post look really funky if you don't paste it in either as plain text, which is this one, or Word. So I highly, highly recommend that. For a headline, you do need a headline, and it should be a good headline. It should have a verb, and it should read like a headline. If you want some tips, I am going to post some blog writing tips, and I have posted some on my regular blog, but we'll say you're going to write great case study. So there's the headline, here's the copy, that all looks fine. It has, the only thing that will change here is we don't want to have links that look like that. We want to have in-text links, so we're going to highlight and create a link like so. This does not have an image, however, so that's our next step. With most WordPress blogs, you can just click on this link and add an image, and that's not untrue for this one. So you want to click on there, and then we're going to find a file. I have a whole folder of stock photography here, so let me open that. Let's see some pictures. And let's do this one. That looks like a pen, and we write with a pen, so that sounds good. Loads up the picture, and then instead of inserting into post, which is often what you do with a standard blog, you want to use this as your featured image. So do not insert into post, use it as your featured image. On the home page, those images, the way that they all look the same and they're cropped the same, it's because they're featured images. So click on that. It'll save. You can save all changes if you've made changes. You can actually add up to 3 featured images if you like, and the images will rotate in that little box. And you can check to see that the image loaded and kind of what it looks like here on the side. So there we have a headline, we have copy, we've added an image, all of those things look good. You need to assign a category, and you need to assign it student blog post. That's it. Don't assign it as an assignment. That's a category that I use to explain assignments, not for you to tell me you're doing an assignment. And then Twitter summary is probably the only other category that you'll ever need. And then you can add a few tags. These are just keywords. These are just keywords that you can add. 6 to 8 is usually good. Click add, kind of double check that you have what you need, and then just click publish. Once you publish, you can view your post. So here's our post. Feature image looks good, link looks good, everything looks like it worked the way it was supposed to. You can go to the home page, which you just get to by clicking on the logo at the top, and that takes you to the home page. So you can see that these images do crop and stretch a little bit. The reason that this one is stretched is because it wasn't a very large picture, but it's not very stretched, so it would work okay. You're limited to some degree on the images you can use for feature images because of the way that the template is designed. So you need to choose a horizontal image, and ideally it's wider than about 500 pixels to really fit in that box correctly. If you have other images you want to include, you can insert those into the post. So let me show you a couple of ways to do that. It's very simple, standard stuff. So if you wanted to insert an image here, you would grab another image. This image started as a square, so it wouldn't be a great feature image because it doesn't have that horizontal look. We maybe want to align it left, and then we will insert as opposed to using it as a featured image, and you can see that it drops right in there. So there are other image choices, but for the feature image, and you do need a feature image, it needs to be a horizontal orientation and about at least 500 pixels. And that's why that pin in this one doesn't work all that well, because I think it was only 400 pixels wide. So, and if you want to preview before you publish, you just click preview. The preview will open in a separate window, so you can make sure everything looks okay, and then you can either publish or update from there. So I think that pretty much covers it. The login and the image piece were the ones that I thought were probably going to trip you up if you had not worked with WordPress.org before. And if this is still overwhelming and confusing and you'd like some more detailed walkthrough, we'll be covering the blog next week at our boot camp. So I encourage you to join us there. And of course, ask questions as they come up. We're happy to help. Thanks so much.